Hello and welcome to Estars Predicts, brought to you by Estars Data. In advance of the first Fortnite World Cup, using data from over 400,000 matches and 8 million player results, we've actually created a artificial intelligence data-driven full rankings index for predicting solos and duos in the finals that we are sharing with all of our Fortnite fans on estars.com. I am Bart Barden. My partner in crime is Rob Dishi, and we will spend the next several minutes walking you through the rankings and providing some unique predictive insights into how the finals might play out as you look at our index on eStars. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Rob to talk about some of the key data points in our index and how it works. Rob, take it
Yeah,
away.
great to be here. Just a few things is a lot of this stuff is going to be pretty self-explanatory. We're looking at the index right now. If you're looking at mean points and week qualified and percent of kills, it's all pretty clear and to the point. What I really want to focus on is the rating. How we've built this. As Bart was mentioning, this is AI data-driven rankings, 400,000 matches, 8 million player results. So we really took the time to aggregate all this data and put together a variety of factors that are including results, regions, the strengths of the players. So we've created some pretty cool type of characteristics like the bubble rating and end game heads up rating. So I kind of want to get in specifically to those, right? So consistency rating, the lower the rating is, the more consistent the scoring per game. So the higher, the more varied their gameplay can be. Uh, why it's important, it represents kind of a boom or bust type of gameplay. It's something you really want to watch out for how a player's performance will be over the spread of the 6 matches that they have to play in the World Cup coming up. The bubble rating, on the other hand, is that percentage chance where someone has just missed out on placement points. So if you look at the index right now and you look at Raven, not Raven, sorry, Riverson, that must have been like just unbelievably frustrating for that guy. 19% of the time he's in the final of World Cup qualifiers and he's missing out on points by one or two placements is just really frustrating. And he, you know, hopefully could take some improvement from that and know, hey, maybe I just need to like duck and build some walls and play a little bit more defensive, fortified for just a little bit of time so that I can always get those points versus being involved in conflicts when you're so close to making a point break.
Yeah, and some of it could be unlucky, and some of it could be actually his gameplay. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the finals, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And then, end game, it's really, really indicative to just how skilled someone is versus the other players within, this top end pedigree of players here. So, we have clicks there with, 73%, of the time he's able to just, mop the floor out of anybody else in this list because it's specific to these qualified players. It's how many times in a heads up 1v1 situation are they losing to or killing the other person. So
And
it's
I
it's pretty indicative of just that heads up play skill set.
And I would say that's some of the beauty of the model that we try to do here, right? That's that type of end game metric is something you can only get by slicing and dicing tons and tons of historical data. So I think that something like that is A, informative, but I think B, something that Rob and I are really excited about to see how predictive it can be, because that was a lot of the outcome of the hard work to put this model together.
Yeah, and it's part of this model too is I'm sure a lot of people watching this are thinking too. You start looking at some of the ratings we have here, and you see someone like Tifu who's below middle of the pack. When a lot of people might think that he'd be a favorite to win, is you gotta just leaning on to what Bart just said. Keep in mind that this is just data driven, so there's no kind of fan or what's the right word here? But
Favorite
favorite,
bias. We're,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
not
no
using any
bias,
favorite
yeah,
bias.
no,
Yeah.
no, no bias within it, right? And there's a couple of just kind of clear issues that the model pointed out with Tifu right here, right? So number one, there wasn't a significant amount of competitive data for him. Number two, he didn't play it very well pre World Cup in the events that he did attend. So combined with that, his rating coming into the qualifiers wasn't stellar. And then during the qualifiers, yes, he qualified, but he had a lack of consistency. And again, that's I'll go back to clicks or dubs. Some of these other players is that that have scored up high. They just managed to play better on an average basis. Clicks was a week on week on top 10 player. All these are like huge into being able to like have a good rating within our system. It's also why players like Ninja didn't qualify. Amazing entertainer. Love watching him. He's a great guy, but he struggled in the World Cup. He only made it to the top 30 in three of his games, and he had a 0% game rating versus the other qualified players.
Yeah, and then Rob, one of the other things we noticed, and that people might, obviously from a popularity perspective, is you see two of the top 10 in our list are from Brazil, right? Maybe, what do you see there, right? Just their gameplay is actually whether, they might not be as, their gameplay might not be as visible or as popular. They actually did very, very well in the qualifiers comparatively.
Yeah, no, and I think that, it's really hard for people right now to like think about the cross region, right? Because I mean they're only playing in their region. But it is something that our model has tried very, the best we can to show that, hey, just because people think, NA East and Europe are the only, top regions, I think it's indicative of two things, right? Like Europe has like a huge player base, and it's gonna have like a higher rating in general on average. However, the other players in the other regions have shown that they're quite good, right? So, like when I think it's Meta Sinu came over from Asia, he was ranked 30 over there. He played the Week 7 qualifiers in NA, and he finished ninth. So, like, it shows that, being top in Brazil, being top in Asia, being top in Europe, they all translate to each other. The cross-region rating translates pretty well.
Yeah. And like the other things, if you're looking at this and you're kind of a data head or you really appreciate the game and you get into it, a couple other things to point out is if you combine some of the categories and numbers we're showing you here, you can come up with some potential interesting, predicting performance, after a couple matches. So, for example, clicks versus dubs, their style of gameplay, clicks is a bit more kill heavy, meaning he's going to get more kills. He has a higher percentage of games with 10 or more kills in his qualifiers at 8.2%, where Dubs is tends to be a little bit more placement focused to get his points, where his percentage of games with greater than 10 kills is 2%. So what that really means is after 3 games, unfortunately, if Dubs hasn't scored or placed very well after, let's say, 3 of 6 games, he doesn't have enough time to catch up, right? And that might be, a downfall where, he has to kind of jump out of the gate and place high. Where Clicks, for the other hand, if he kind of hangs around on the placement side, he can have that 1 or 2 games where he really racks up a lot of kills and he can still be really relevant toward the end. So these are just little things that we notice, and I'm sure if you guys as fans of the game and understand how data works, you can come up with your own conclusions. But these are just little things that we came up with to at least just guide you as to using our index.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting too because of the fact that they changed the formats down to 6 games, right? So it's kind of really gonna matter on those how well they like certain players do within those first 2 games now, like really matter. Like you don't have that long spread to be able to show your play style, and to be able to just be a placement type player. Like you're going to have some decent kill games. It's gonna be really
Yeah,
hard otherwise.
yeah. And hey, I think, Rob, throughout the qualifiers, I think there were a couple instances where the ratings could have been a bit affected by the way that Fortnite, the game itself, there were
Oh
some
yeah.
different types of elements. So, do you expect to see any of that kind of coming into the finals? But I think,
I would very much hope that Fortnite would not, that Epic would not do some sort of a release that changes the play, during that. I don't expect that to happen. That would be, I feel like, pretty weird for them to do it. But week 5 of the qualifier, yeah, they had all those ballers that weren't spawning, and it became a bit of a weird week because I mean honestly it was probably a lot better for like I'd say higher skilled players for week 5, right? Because the ballers kind of keep people that are less skilled in combat in the game longer. So like if you're a combat player, it was a good week for you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like if you're a placement player that's always just trying to survive towards the end, ballers make it easy to escape storms and fights. So that type of week was a little bit weird in terms of how the model showed and the points that came out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, everyone, look, we're going to be updating these projections, during the finals for both singles and duos. We focused on singles here just to kind of give you an idea of how the model works. But obviously, we're also, posting duos ratings with the same type of data per those games. And look, we're going to be updating this stuff on site and posting about it socially throughout the event. So, please keep checking back for updates. If you guys have any comments, questions, like what we're doing, or have any even recommendations or other things that maybe you'd like to see from the data, just, DM us on Twitter. I'm at Bart Barden. Rob's at Just a Wolf 3. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks all.